Everyone loves to quote leadership principles when they're up 35-7. But what happens when you're down 35-7 on the biggest stage of your career? That's exactly where Oregon and head coach Dan Lanning found themselves in the college football playoff semifinal against Indiana, getting run off the field 56-22 after a season built on dominance and substance over flash. If you manage a team or lead a business, his response in victory and this brutal defeat is a masterclass you should be paying attention to. In victory, Lanning built Oregon on three core ideas: toughness, preparation, and player empowerment. His staff describes a culture where he is involved in every detail: facilities, NIL, offense, defense, special teams, while still empowering his assistants to innovate, take risks, and grow. He runs get real sessions and a coaching approach that forces players to own their mindset, strengths, and weaknesses before the coaches even step in the building. Self-awareness and accountability instead of dependency is the key. Even when Oregon was rolling teams, he pushed the message that they were rooted in substance, not flash, and focused on growth, not hype. What's the leadership takeaway? When things are going well, are you building a culture of ownership and toughness, or just riding the momentum and talent? Now, contrast that with what happened against Indiana. Oregon turned the ball over 3 times in the first 6 possessions, gave up short fields, and was effectively done by halftime. And boy, does that hurt as a longtime Oregon fan. This wasn't a heartbreaking last-second loss. It was a total dismantling in all 3 phases on national television with championship expectations. Post-game, Lanning could have blamed execution, youth, injury, the portal, or the moment. But instead, he did 2 critical things. First, he gave full credit to Indiana, calling them a complete, well-coached team with no real weakness. Second, he refused to label his players as failures, saying the world would judge them by that one result out there on the field, but he would judge them by the kind of fathers and husbands they'd become, and by how they respond to this adversity. He openly said, "We just got our butt kicked," and framed it as a life lesson every man in that locker room has to learn from. In your worst moments, do you protect your ego, or do you protect your people and the standard? So what does this teach leaders outside of football? Well, in victory, Lanning preaches toughness, preparation, and shared ownership. In defeat, he lives it. Owning the outcome, honoring the opponent, and keeping the focus on the growth and character. In victory, he empowers staff and players to think for themselves. In defeat, he doesn't yank that power back. He leans into it. Development, reflection, and accountability instead of fear and blame. In victory, he talks process over hype. In defeat, he treats the loss as part of that process, not an identity statement about his people. If you're a leader, your next Indiana game is coming. An ugly quarter, a bad launch, a lost client, a public miss. The question isn't whether you take a hit. It's whether your leadership style in victory is durable enough to survive defeat. This week, ask yourself and your team, when we get punched in the mouth, what do we want to be known for? Excuses and blame, or ownership, respect, and growth? Then start leading today like that moment is already here. Make it a great day and absolutely make it a great life. Go Ducks. Still love you, my Ducks. Thank you, Dan Lanning and the men of Oregon, for a great 2025 season.